At 3-1, I thought we were in a good spot, as you would when you're up 2 goals. But after that second goal went in, it was the effort from the players was just strange to me. We're still leading, but DC was getting all these chances. They were, um, the boys weren't like trying to shut down anything. They weren't getting in front. There were a lot of chances that DC had that they just missed. But they were allowed to touch the ball in our box way too close. I think there probably could have been a change in terms of Alex Mule. I think, you want to keep a guy on for a hat trick, but he's running a lot. I think he needed to be subbed out energy-wise.
Who would you have liked to have seen in there outside for him?
If Perez was on the bench, I don't recall who all was on the bench, but I think maybe he would have been a good spot to put in. But definitely we didn't control the end of that game at all, and we just kind of let things happen to us. We were giving up way too many corners, too many simple mistakes, and I think ultimately it's a result of this season being just really hard to dig ourselves out of a hole. I think part of that has to go on Mike Jacobs for waiting too long to fire Gary Smith. We probably should have left with him in the offseason. But then I don't know why we waited so long to get BJ in here, because we wasted 3 or 4 games while we knew he was going to be the coach, to have an interim coach that would have no effect now on anything that we were doing. We were a listless ship. And then, we had some hope in coming back, but I think ultimately, when things started going wrong, the mentality of everybody was just kind of like, shit, let's just get this over with. So, going forward next season, there are some promising signs with the way that we're scoring goals. The first goal that we scored, I thought was beautiful. Pass from the midfields, to a midfielder making a run.
And just up and nice ball from Godoy. So beautiful.
Great ball. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to see Godoy next year, because he's on, I think, $600,000 plus salary. He's 34, I think. So, do we think about moving on from him, or do we, give him a 1-year contract? There's a lot of other players that I think, we're definitely going to turn over from, and there's going to be some hard decisions. Joe Willis is, on a lot of money versus Elliot Panico, and Panico can give us basically the same thing, and he's like nearly a decade younger. I know that a lot of people hate Anunga, but I do think that he could play a role in that he's the most pure defensive midfielder we have. I think that we have Anunga as a defensive guy, and then Yazbek going forward. I think that there are.
Do you think that Yearwood plays a role in any of this discussion, or do we have any idea what Yearwood it plays on a BJ Callahan team?
I think he's been injured recently, but I also think that he kind of fits in as like a Yazbek-esque player. I think he has a role because I think he's still younger. He's on like a U22 contract. I think he has a lot more to give. I don't think that we should move on from him. Sean Davis, I don't know if he fits in any sort of role. He's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none in terms of everything. Like, he doesn't really pass as well as everybody, isn't as strong defensively as everybody else or anybody else. So, do you keep him on, or is he too expensive? Maybe we find somebody else. Trying to go through other people.
So what about the front? I mean, this is a team that struggled with goals. We got 3 tonight.
Yeah.
What about the front?
I think the front is fine in terms of Schaffelberg, Mukhtar, and Sam. I think that being able to have those 3 people on the players on the field at the same time is good. I think Leal is the big question. His contract isn't up, so we're going to have to eat that if we want to get rid of him, but I think it's the right thing if we do get rid of him, because he is expensive, and maybe we can find somebody else that's going to be cheaper and more effective, because he's been useless the past 2 seasons basically. He's maybe scored less than 5 goals. I don't even remember. He's just been injured the whole time. So ultimately, there's going to be some roster churn, but I think that there are also some players that right now aren't doing the best that we can. The best. We're not getting the best out of those players that some people are hating on.